Welcome to another episode of Never Been Promoted. We're about to go live with an amazing guest. If you can, just take one moment to hit the follow button on your Apple or Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button. Let's roll the intro and let's go meet our guest on Never Been Promoted. Welcome to the Never Been Promoted podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Helfrich. We are on a mission to help you cut the tie to everything holding you back so you can unleash your entrepreneur. Hey, welcome to another episode of Never Been Promoted. Hi, I'm your host, Thomas Helfrich. We are on a mission to help you cut the tie to all that crap holding you back so you can unleash not only the best entrepreneur version of yourself, just the best version of yourself. We do this through bringing some guests on today, and today's going to be a fun one about how you can break the stereotype that is often associated with being a mom. We're going to be joined by Coach Nar Smart, and she's going to actually have a special guest with her as well that may steal the show. So you'll see this here in a minute. So listen. I really want to help you get better at entrepreneurship, and I want you to learn from the journeys of these other entrepreneurs. So get on, the show here. If you'd like to even come tell your story, you can do that through neverbeenpromoted.com. And if you're just listening to it, hit the follow button on the Apple or Spotify. That really helps our guests get their message out there, but also you get alerted when the new shows come out, and we come out with quite a few shows. Right now, though, it's time to bring on Coach Nar to the stage and
and
plus one.
Plus one, yeah.
Baby. You want to introduce plus one?
The plus one, her name is Emma. She's 9 months old. And yeah, that's her. Hi.
Emma, this can't be your first podcast, Emma. No.
She's answering.
No, yeah. I've been on it before. Emma, if you're listening to this, is adorable with more hair than most men in their 50s, just to be clear. At 9 months old.
Fresh life.
Coach Nar, nice to get some time with you. I know you're super busy, and you're on a mission to help change the mom stereotype. So, do you want to do just kind of a brief introduction of yourself and
yeah,
what's your business, who's it for, and what's it all about?
So, before I was a mom, I was always entrepreneurial minded and spirited, and it's only after I became a mom that I realized my shift has to happen for myself and my children and my family, that I can't just be an entrepreneur for myself. I got to be an entrepreneur for my family. And so without compromising my family, without compromising time spent with them, and working from home, actually. And it only really got deeper and deeper in working from home after I had my pregnancy with Emma. I had her at 40, so I'm like a little bit older than most folks, but she just really tied in everything for me as far as perspective of motherhood and being a mom, but also being just a bad mom, as I call it. We talked about this earlier, but like a bad mom would, I don't know, think of herself as a bad mom, but really what she's doing is she's a badass mom, and she's doing
Right.
everything in her power, in her abilities, and to provide for her family in many ways than one. And I decided to start a support group for those kinds of women. It's a coaching group. I started a podcast, and it's not just for moms, but it's, moms can resonate, dads can resonate. These are just life principles that I try to teach people through my own experiences and through my own challenges that I overcome. So it's just pretty much a honest conversation about life, and people are listening.
Yeah. So the group's focus, let's say, is targeted to moms, but is it around entrepreneurship and being a mom, or just being just kind of the badass, the bad mom, so to speak, that you're trying
Well,
to become?
both. It's if you are more content and more aligned with who you are, then entrepreneurialism just comes to you more naturally. It's more aligned, and you can make entrepreneurial decisions as a mother, because now you've eliminated these mindset challenges, like, hey, I can't do this because I'm a mom. That was her, she dropped something. But no, you actually can do whatever you put your mind to as a mom with the kids that you have. So entrepreneurialism doesn't necessarily mean out there working. It can be entrepreneur of your own home.
Well, what's interesting? There's a saying, right? If you want something done, ask a busy person to do it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it really is. And so I find in life, like, certain perspectives kick you into a different gear. For example, getting laid off can get you refocused and working on your business tighter. Having a kid gives you purpose around why you're doing or why you're working or what you're doing for you. And if you have a kid, and for some people, divorce refocuses what really matters in their life,
Mhm.
and loss and other things. And these are all things that come and go. It's all part of life. It's not all happy. It's sometimes it's wonderful with the children, and when they hit 15, 16 and they start talking back, it's not so wonderful sometimes. Just saying, possibly that might be part of your path. It may happen. But with the stereotype of moms that I'm a mom, I can't. I have this idea that I talk about with cutting the tie, that there's this fear excuse cycle that people get caught into. Oh, I can't do that because I can't do
Yeah.
this because if I do that, then this. I am this, so I can't be that. I disagree fundamentally with lots of those things, and I struggle with my own. But maybe does that resonate with you and your audience a little bit? With no, you can, and here's why. So you got to be more grateful, and you got to be more mindful and more vulnerable, and just accept that you're just making an excuse. So do you do some kind of these types of coaching and self-realization, mindfulness pieces as part of yours?
Yes, and with the baby on top of it all, she's so sleepy. So sorry, ran into her sleep time, but she's gonna have to cry it out a little bit. Um, Definitely don't do that with your kid when they're crying. But I just need a
It's
2
okay to
minutes
walk
to.
away. They won't
Yeah,
remember. That's the best
yeah,
part at 9 months old. They'll have no idea you walked away to go do a podcast.
no idea. So you can always give yourself excuses to stay comfortable, or you can break through those excuses and work on the thing that you want to do. So, like, you either make excuses or you work. You have to decide what you're going to do. And either way, time is flying. Either way, time is passing. Either way, you're getting older. Either way, wrinkles are happening. Nothing is stopping just because you're giving yourself excuses. So,
Agreed. Yeah. And you're not
as a
accomplishing
mother,
things that
that's
you could have done as well. I mean, that's the other thing too, right? Is you could be accomplishing more than you set out to do or your dreams are.
100%. And your dreams are supposed to be grand. They're supposed to be big. They're supposed to make you want to go after them. Because if your dreams are just like realistic, you're going to give yourself excuses as to why you're not going to do it today, why you're not going to do it tomorrow. It's easier to get rid of realistic dreams than it is to, like, go after bigger dreams, because when you go after the bigger dream, it goes back to the saying, shoot for the moon, land among the stars. Because what is a dream if it's not going to be big? It's just another task you're doing, and then it doesn't feel like anything when you accomplish something towards your dream when it's not big, in my
I
opinion.
agree. Yeah, well, and I think sometimes though, right, what people will make as excuses, that dream's too big. Well, then chunk it down. And sometimes, it doesn't, you don't have this we live in a world of kind of immediate, instant gratification, and it depends on your personality type too, if that's you need that as part of a way to get motivated or not. But sometimes you got to chunk it down of like, all right, you want to be this. What are the 10 things that you think are in your way? And what's the one that really gets in your way right now? And go work on it till it's gone. And don't be relentless in getting through that, because what you'll discover is the path you should have been on anyway. Because it's, you may have said, I'm going to go over here. And as you work through problems, you're like, actually, I think it's probably better this way. But at least it's a different direction, and it's towards something that where you say you're not happy we are today as well. That takes action. That takes you getting off your ass and doing something, quite honestly, not making excuses and giving up Netflix. That's a big one. I'll tell you that. If you're a video game player, I'm not saying the guy on this channel may or may not have a small addiction to video games. Sometimes you just can't play them. I don't know.
So I want to even challenge, and I agree with you, but I want to even challenge that and say, what if you are already on the path and all you have to do is take action? It's not necessarily wrong path, right path. If you're on a path, take action and see where that action leads you, you know, on the path. Because you're already on the way. Time is already flying. Time is already
Right.
passing. Don't be a sitter on the side of your own path.
Well, I mean, you really, you trade when you trade your time, you're trading your life. Like, just to be clear, I mean, like you only have some of it is a limited resource that not even the richest people in the world can really extend not that much more. We'll say it that way. And it's all there's some stuff's out of your control, some stuff not. But at the end of the day, you have what you have. In that idea, that's where this kind of the idea of cut the tie comes from. And I always ask guests, like, kind of what was that biggest challenge or false belief that you had to just get over, like a habit, a person, a situation. What was holding you back? What was the tie that you had to cut?
My own mindset, to be honest with you. I've always, hey baby, I'll be right there. Don't worry, you're good. It was on my own mindset because I've never felt like I couldn't do things. I just didn't know how to do them, and I gave myself excuses as to why I couldn't do them. I gave myself excuses as to what resources I had. Um, Sorry, I'm just gonna go to another room. What?
Running away
Bad
from the baby.
mom. She's
Are you a
safe in her
bad mom?
playpen.
No,
She's good.
like she's fine. Like she just wants mama. It's gratifying because eventually they don't want you. They actually want you to leave their room.
Yeah, and you know what happens? Like our brain actually is wired to respond to the cries. So now I can't like even hear what you're saying and hear what I'm saying. So I got to not hear it for a
That's just
second.
an excuse. It's actually a primal one. It's a pretty good one.
It's a pretty good primal excuse.
So what
Yeah.
I was asking, like, you said you had what tie you had to cut, and so I'll help you come back to, because you were saying like I had to change my own mindset on something. What was the kind of the
Yeah.
mindset thing that was really kind of pulling you
That
back?
I didn't have the resources.
That's
Yeah.
that could be a lot of things, but define that a little bit. Like, I'm sure there's
I,
layers of that too.
Sure. I didn't have the support system. I didn't have someone saying, "Oh, good job," or I didn't have someone telling me this could work. I was looking for external validation, so to say,
Mm-hmm.
to know that I'm on the right path. But what is the right path when you don't know yourself? You're never going to know if you're on the right path or not. So my own resource, me, was not being was not being built up, so to say. I was not tapping into my own resource of who I am, what I know, what kind of confidence I move with. And I just needed to like really get good with God as well. I was an atheist. I was a liberal. I was a feminist. I was going to college.
For those listening, those are not always. Those are mutually exclusive things.
But look,
Like, you grouped them up. Like, listen, I lived in California. I drove a
I'm in
Prius.
LA.
Oh my God.
The works. And I went to UCLA. I mean, I was very free-minded and not very I didn't look to God for guidance. And I looked to other people who had no guidance in their lives for guidance. So my own natural resource was tapping into the God energy. And I only understood that in 2022, really, when I decided, I'm not an atheist. I never really was an atheist. I was just looking for an organization to belong to. I was looking
Right.
for
Yeah.
someone to validate my life. My mom passed away. My family abandoned us, and it's like, well, no. Now I need other people to tell me I'm good enough. No, I just needed to believe that God got me.
Yeah, well, that's a beautiful thing, and God versus faith versus religion, maybe different topics slightly, but the idea that there's some purpose you've been put here to do, and it doesn't have to be grandiose. It can just be it's the mindfulness to know that I'm here for a reason. Stop looking for it. The reason's probably right here. And
Yeah.
and when you believe in something bigger, I have a similar time frame from I'll call it faith journey. Uh, I wouldn't say atheist, but just not institutionalized
Yeah.
religion is probably the way to say that. So I applaud what you did that, because that truly is that's enough. Because once you stop looking for external validation of people who, by the way, are going to lie to you, your friends lie to you.
Oh,
They're going to want you to feel better, not be like, hey, you're being an idiot. Like the one that does that is the friend you probably should talk to the most. It really keeps it real with a path forward, but no one ever does that. Everyone's in kind of what's in it for me, and they're just wanting you to be happy and leave them alone with your problems, right? And so when you start internalizing, at least for me, at least for how most people get through this, when they start believing themselves, then the world, there's nobody you got to go to for the answer. You can just go do what you want to go do, and you can do some checks. So good for you.
yeah.
Did you have an aha moment, like where you did something, you recognized, I didn't see, like you'd done something and then realized retroly, oh, I would have definitely have sought out, you know, some type of validation or whatever it is, and it didn't even come to you. You just did it, and it worked out in some way. Do you have that aha moment?
The aha moment of what, coming to God,
Just where
or
you're like, I no longer, like you did something, and
oh,
in retrospect, you look back and go, hey, I would have normally
yeah.
sought out validation there, and I didn't even do it. Like I have confidence, like it's there.
I studied myself, and I studied the teachings of Jesus, and I understood that, hey, I need to behave in ways that make me feel, not make me feel. I have to behave in ways that I know I'm good. And then we're all bad, right? We're all bad, but you got to like try to be good. You have to actually work on being good. Bad comes naturally. So the aha moment for me was realizing that, hey, I'm actually a good person despite like all these ideas I have about myself. On my hair. Um, and didn't happen natural. It didn't happen like that. It was a series of events. It was a series of events that made me make decisions where I would normally wouldn't have made. So, for example, pulling my kids out of school. I was always public school student. I went all the way to UCLA. It was public education. Part of my kid went to it for 2 years. I was PTA president, parliamentarian, treasurer. I was so involved. I was in and out of the principal's office like freely, but then when they started masking our kids up and
Oh
telling our
man.
kids to behave in ways that they didn't want to behave, they were trying to control our children. And that's when I realized, like, hey, wait a minute, like I gotta do something better for my kids. I can't have them be going to these places and getting bombarded and berated by the people who are supposed to be teaching them. So I pulled them out. I started homeschooling them, and at that moment, I realized, like, maybe it was, yeah, before I pulled them out. But when I started homeschooling them, I realized, like, this is what I have to be doing for my kids, for other people, giving them a way to serve each other without relying on the people who are trying to subdue us. Give me 1 second, please. Baby. Sorry.
You're doing it all. So this is the point. You didn't cancel a podcast today. You go, I have a 9-month-old. I'm going to do this podcast, and there's going to be some crying, and then there's going to be a lot of spoiling and overfeeding later, and a burp, and probably a diaper change. It's pretty simple, right? They eat, they sleep, they're cold, they're hot, or they poop. Pee even they go to bed. Like, that's fine.
Yes.
Oh, Emma's got. For those listening, Emma's coming back on. Adorable.
Emma's trying to sleep. Oh,
Emma, do
baby.
you want a milk? I'm just kidding.
She may have spoiled this podcast a little bit, but
Not at all. Not
she's
at all.
doing good.
By the way, first baby ever to be on the podcast. I'm going to give you full rights and credits for that. And the fact that you're thinking about breaking the mom stereotype in your own business, and working through and doing this is core. This is like nothing could be more real, right? This is core to what you do. Is like, hey, you got to sometimes do stuff. And here's the thing. Good example. Some corporations will never accept you having a baby on a meeting. Even during Zoom, people are getting pissed about it. It's like, dude, we're all
Yeah,
locked in a home together. And LA, nice area. Some of the people are questionable, but the houses aren't exactly like, 25,000 square feet like in the Midwest or something, where you can
yeah,
easily disappear. They're generally smaller because it's so damn expensive to live there. you got to expect there's going to be some kids and dogs running around. I mean, like people, like dogs couldn't go outside. They'd get the vid. Anyway, we'll go. I want to know something though. So let's move forward here on the impact. So what does that impact, kind of describe what it's done for your personal life, relationships, business, like for this transition, this cut the tie moment, the aha moment, like what's been the impact?
So the impact has been that I've been able to also transition other moms and their children to homeschooling pods. We actually created a micro school within the last 2 years. We have 40 kids now in the micro school, and we're operating under our church. And these are all people that, I was able to market to, I was able to display through my own actions that it's possible. And so from that, I was able to convert multiple families. Right now, like because of me, like 15 kids are in our homeschool operative. And I feel like that's a great success, especially since now I'm working on this initiative with the organization to get Children's Educational Opportunity Act on the ballot for 2026, which will afford $17,000 a year per student to go to any school that they want. So, like, the funds will be transferred to the school of choice by the parents. And therefore, it will immediately impact the education of children and families, and school performance would improve as well, because then they'd have to fight for the students to come to their
Yeah, I
schools.
mean, if your tax dollars followed where people wanted to go, the whole it's like free economics. And at that point, you can get better teachers in, and you can make bets on, hey, we have some of the best teachers to start drawing people in. And yeah, I don't disagree with that. Some areas would be more challenged than others, but they'd still get kids and money, and it would still work, right? And I'm a big fan of that. The uh, the impact on your community, it sounds pretty big. Like you brought people in, you've gotten other people to buy in the idea. Uh, what would be like your advice to anybody listening? Like, so what's some like just takeaway advice you'd want to give to one of the listeners, just based on your journey?
No one is going to approve or disapprove better than you are on your own journey. So stop asking people's opinions of yourself and get to know yourself. So you're never going to make the right decision if you don't know who you are and why you're doing it.
Right. No, I mean, I love this. This is like, I love the imposter syndrome when I feel that way, because I know that I've stepped out of bounds of what I am, but I don't know what to do with it. I actually love that. And sometimes for us adult ADHD types, it's a dangerous space because you do need to come back to reality and get some shit done occasionally. So sorry, Emma. Kissed. Hope you didn't hear it. Um,
She's good. Don't worry.
let's do, I want to do some rapid fire questions with you. Are you ready?
Ready.
What's your favorite quote?
Mean what you say and say what you mean.
Oh, I like that one. That's a hard one. Sometimes, I just a side note on that one. Sometimes in relationships, the intent
Yeah.
is not communicated, or you assume what the person's intent is. So I want to elaborate on that. You say what you mean and do what you say. Like, make sure people are clear on your intent. And you see things possibly in good light first, as opposed to negative. Anyway, so we can go there. I'm speaking a little
I
bit my
mean,
life.
intention
You know
is
what I mean?
intention is scary. I'll tell you why. Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So your intentions are great, but if you don't have if you're not firing correctly, then it doesn't matter if you're good at if you have good
Oh,
intentions.
agreed. So you're spot on with that. So what's maybe some of the best business advice you've ever received?
Best business advice I've ever received. Wow, I never even thought about that actually. I, I can't answer that. What's the best advice you've ever received? Maybe it'll jog
Believe in
my
yourself,
memory.
believe it or not.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that all life is that. All life is believing in.
It is. It's sometimes, it's you can't have delusional belief at times without success, without markers of success. But believe in yourself is some of the best advice. It's around that. There's different versions of that, but I think it's spot on. That's why I like this conversation a lot, because it's like, yeah, sign me up. Do you have a favorite book or like resource you like you lean into besides the Bible?
You're hilarious. But yeah, Bible's number one. I will read it more often, but it's still very good resource. Five Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Um, I like leadership books, books that help me learn about myself and how to help people learn about themselves. Because I am a coach. I do have a coaching group called the Women's Portal, where I
Hmm.
apply these l- leadership strategies to the women who come to get served by me. And so, what other book? I mean, those books are,
I mean, that's a great list. I mean,
yeah,
I, the uh,
psychic
the
vampirism. It's
for those
interesting to
listening, you hear
read.
giggles in the background. We're laughing because she has a little baby in her arms, and the Emma will reach up and grab her hair and cover her face. So that's what's going on in the background here. It's hilarious. So if you're listening to this, it's actually very funny because there's like an arm comes up.
I'm
It's
actually
like
feeding her right now, so
right.
she's
Well, I
chilling.
mean, like the baby's like, I'm good. Like
Yeah.
curtains. Anyway, if you had to start over today, or I'll say it differently, if you were talking to your 21-year-old self, what would you tell yourself to do
Stop
differently?
wearing eyeshadow.
Okay, wait. We've had a deep conversation here. Can you elaborate into that one a little bit? It sounds like
Yes,
a metaphor, to be fair.
it is. It is. Be exactly who you're supposed to be. And yeah, you can color yourself up, you can like dress yourself up, but don't change who you are unless it's for the better for yourself. Yeah, change things about yourself, but don't change who you are. Don't cover, don't mask yourself. Don't
Mhm.
try to look like something else than you are. Really come at it like, look at my hair. I didn't even, not that it matters, but what I'm trying to say is I came to deliver a message. I didn't care how my hair looks, what I was wearing, if my baby was going to be screaming at me or not. So
You
just
showed
do
up.
the work. Yeah,
Yeah.
do the work, show up, be yourself, don't mask yourself, don't give yourself BS excuses as to why not, um why you can't do it. Just do it. Just do the thing and come as yourself.
I like that. The one of the advice that I'd say I'd go back to that one question was you got to show up to win. So you could be the best sports player in the world, but if you don't show up to the tournament, you don't win. So you always have to show. And I tell my kids it's like, hey, that's great, but you got to show up and be present at school if you want to go do the thing you told me you want to do 5 years from now. So that's another one. Maybe the final question outside of the shameless plug question. So don't burn your question on this one. But if there's one question I should have asked you today, but I didn't, what is it, and how would you answer it?
Why have you decided to put yourself out there under chopping blocks for the world to pick at?
And how would you answer that?
Because I want to show people that it can be done even under those extreme circumstances.
Emma agrees. It sounds like you want to be thought of at least and shown as, and for your kids too, right? As a leader, as somebody you should look up to, someone you should, I don't say follow is the right word, but more of uh, be an example, a beacon of light, if you will. Is that fair?
Yeah, fair. Yeah. Yeah,
Is it too
because
short? Do you want to be like more of like a full
no,
ray of sun?
beacon of light is good enough,
I mean, I want to be my own son. It would be okay. Listen, there, Chief. Like, bring it down. Let's just
Yeah.
start with like a lighthouse, maybe a lamp. Because right now it looks like a mini black hole. Listen, kind of closing out here. Who should get a hold of you? How do they do that? And do you have any kind of offers or anything like you'd like to ask people to come on, to get a hold of you?
Yes. So anyone, okay. All right, babe. We're almost done. Look, we're almost done. We're almost done. Anybody who wants to make changes in their lives and get to learn about themselves because they feel stuck, they feel like they are at a place where they're not moving forward, they're actually just in a spiral, and that they're making excuses for themselves. So whoever's finding themselves making excuses for themselves really needs to try to contact me a little. Sorry. This would have been a better plug if I wasn't being screamed at, but I have a coaching group called Purpose Over Excuses.
Hmm.
Sorry. And I promise she'll be better by then. She's gonna get older and
She's not. Don't make excuses for your baby.
yeah,
You're doing
don't.
exactly what you're supposed to be doing. But you can get a hold of you at Instagram, obviously,
Yes,
at
yes.
Bad Moms Media. And I think most of the information to get a hold of you, or hey, what do you have? I'd love to, like, I want to start. I'm a mom. I want to do more than I'm doing. Or whatever it is. What are the use cases? Starting with, I can do more. I'm a woman. I would think it's probably a good enough use case to get a hold of you and say, I'm doing it, and here I struggle with it. But that's what this group's called, the group coaching call, and this group kind of activity is. Is that fair enough?
Yes, yes,
Way to do it.
yes.
So Bad Moms Media, Bad
That's my
Moms Media.
podcast page, but it's like the page I use more often. And of course,
Cool.
like I'll get better at. I have another page. It's called the Women's Portal, which it shows my coaching group page. But the Bad Moms Media
That's a
is
good
my
place to start.
podcast. Yes, best start to contact
It's
me.
great. Because if they want to get a hold of you, they'll find you through that, because you listen to a podcast of hers. That might be a good way to get a hold of her.
Exactly.
Hey, thank you, Nar, for joining me today. And Emma, can you hear me, Emma? Good job, Emma. I got a smile out of Emma. Look at that. It's an adorable little kid.
She's so cute. When she's
My
not
wife
sleeping.
would go, like, my wife from Slovakia, and she'd make like little Slovak baby sounds. It's like the cutest thing, like, and then it,
Puchi 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 go.
but it's like words for real words. And I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, but the kids love it.
They
Thank
do.
you. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you. And I thank you. I'm gonna put you in the whatever color this room is, and we'll be right back. But thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nar, for coming on today. And anybody who's obviously listened and participated in the show here, and get a hold of her at Instagram.com/badmomsmedia, and reach out if you'd like to join a group, learn more about how to be the best badass mom you can be. She's a great resource to start with, and maybe you'll meet Emma, because I was lucky enough to. For everybody out there, I appreciate you hanging out. Get out there, go unleash your entrepreneur, and give the podcast a follow if you can. It'd be great. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Hey, before you go, hit that follow button on your favorite podcast player, Apple, Spotify. Crush that little follow button so you get the latest episodes as they come out. Thank you so much for listening to the Never Been Promoted podcast.